Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm James with CloudCore MSP, and today we're going to dive into one of my favorite little pieces of tech, the Raspberry Pi. Now, whether you're setting one up for the very first time or just need a refresher, this video will walk you through everything you need to get your Pi up and running smoothly. So go ahead, grab your Pi, plug it in, and let's get started. All right, guys. So the very first thing you need, obviously, is going to be your micro SD card. Now I've got one here, the 128 gigs, because I have a Raspberry Pi 5 for today's project. So we're going to take our SD card, and we need to get the Raspberry Pi operating system onto the SD card. So when we plug it into the Pi and turn it on, it will boot right into Raspbian, which is Raspberry Pi OS. So the first thing you're going to do here is you're going to go out to raspberrypi.com, and under software, you'll be brought to this page. The really nice thing that they have set up here is they have a Raspberry Pi imager, which is the simplest way to get anything done. You've got downloads for Windows, for Mac, and for Ubuntu. I'm running on a Windows machine right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and download for Windows, and we will kick that installer off. All right. So now we've got our Pi imager set up, and it really couldn't be any easier. Click install, and that's it. It's done. The box should already be checked to run the imager immediately. So we just hit finish, and there we go. So now we need to prep our SD card. Now I have a fancy little device here with USB-C and USB-A, and it is a card reader. And so what I'm going to do is insert the SD card into the reader and then plug it into my PC, and we can go through and select this then as the location for where we want the imager to save to. Okay, so we're going to choose our device. We have a Raspberry Pi 5. We'll choose our operating system. Now in this case, we're just going to go with the recommended, but there are additional options. If you wanted to go with a 32-bit, because maybe you're running an older Raspberry Pi, there's additional options for the Pi OS. And then at the bottom here, we have the ability to format and use a custom image. We're going to just choose the recommended Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit, and then we'll choose our storage, which we can see right here. We'll choose that. Click Next. Do we want to apply customization settings? Now, this is a choice that's going to be individual for everybody. So maybe you don't want to. You just click No and to continue. But if you do want to, let's go through and see what those options are. So you can, by default, you can set your own host name. We'll leave that as Raspberry Pi. You can set a username and password. Maybe you don't want admin. Maybe you want to use your name. For example, let's say I want James, because that's me. And then I come up with a password. I am going to use admin, and we'll use a simple password. If you wanted to configure your Wi-Fi, you check this box and enter the information in. If it's a hidden SSID, make sure that you're checking that box. Also make sure that you choose the correct country. I'm in the United States, so I'll choose US. I am not configuring LAN because we'll have this hardwired. Right here, we can set the location settings. I'm in the Chicago region, so this works perfectly fine. I don't need to set any of that. Under services, we can enable SSH. We definitely want to enable SSH. We're not always going to be using remote desktop to access this, so we want to enable SSH, and password authentication is fine. Under options, we can play a sound when we're finished, We can eject the media and enable telemetry. I'm going to disable telemetry, and then we will save and choose yes, we want to apply the custom OS settings. All existing data will be erased. Are you sure? Yes. Now this can take some time, so we will come back once this is done.
A few moments later.
All right, our write was successful. It went through, it wrote the operating system to the card, it verified everything, and we now have the success message. And now we're ready to move on to the Pi. All right, here's our Raspberry Pi 5. This is the 8 gig model. We can do pretty much anything we want to do with this. I'm going to take a couple minutes to get it plugged into the case. I'll be back in just a minute with an assembled Pi, and we will go from there. All right, as you can see here, we've got the Pi in the case. I've got the thermal pads set down with the heatsink on top. The fan is plugged in. Just gonna reassemble here now, and we'll get to our first boot. All right, we have the case completely assembled. We're gonna get this plugged in, powered up, and connected to my monitor here, and we'll go through first boot. Now I know that this is a little harder to read. The Pi automatically defaulted right to my 1440p monitor. Press next to get started. If you are using a Bluetooth keyboard or mouse, please wait for them to connect. We're going to come in and say we're in the United States, and next. You need to create a user account to log into your Raspberry Pi. Now, if you remember, during the setup process, we did go ahead and set that, but this is the one that came with the kit. So the one setting that I had done for the username is not applied to this card. So we're gonna set that up right now. And we can skip the Wi-Fi because we are hardwired. Both Chromium and Firefox browsers are pre-installed on the Pi. Select which one you prefer to use. We're going to say Firefox because while Chrome and Chromium are great browsers, they also like to use resources. Tick here to uninstall the unused browser. Sure, we can remove the unused browser. We don't need it. Raspberry Pi Connect is a service which allows you to securely, remotely access your Raspberry Pi's desktop from any computer. In other words, remote desktop. So yes, we want to enable that. And we say next. Update software. The operating system and applications will now be checked and updated if necessary. This may involve a large download. Press next to update software, or skip to continue without checking. We'll say next. Our system is now up to date, and we can press OK. Your Raspberry Pi is set up and ready to go. Press restart. Restart your Pi, so the new settings will take effect. We'll just hit restart. Now from here, once the operating system loads, we'll be dropped into a desktop, and you're ready to start using your Raspberry Pi. All right, and after a quick reboot, we are right back. And that's it. Your Raspberry Pi is now up and running. Whether you're using it for home automation, media streaming, or just learning something new, you're all set to start building. Now, do you have any questions or a cool Raspberry Pi project you're working on? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more tech tutorials and IT tips. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.